John Michael from the Context is Everything Media Network, live on the beautiful Asbury Park Boardwalk with a local legend, Jeff Crespi. Jeff Crespi, photographer, rock and roll, and an icon in the area. And I just want to jump into a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Jeff, you've been in the music scene for how long?
Wow. I as a fan and professionally, close to 20 years now. Yeah, it's been a long journey.
That's excellent. And Asbury Park in general, how long have you been seeing the cultural development here?
Well, it's kind of crazy. My experience in Asbury Park early on was just one show that I brought my son to the Stone Pony, which was for a sold-out Newfound Glory show. And I got to tell you, it was not a great experience. Sold-out show, as you know, in the Pony is not a great place to be if you're not familiar with it, and especially with a little kid. And I'll never forget when we left and drove up Asbury Avenue, we went maybe 2 blocks and saw probably a good 20 police cars with bodies face down on a lawn. So that was our first experience out here, but I really didn't start coming to Asbury Park on a consistent basis till right after Hurricane Sandy.
Is that right?
And that was only because Starland Ballroom at the time decided to close up and renovate due to all the floods. And that kind of put me in a position to not really know where to go. And everybody was just telling me, come out to Asbury, they got a great music scene. And I remember showing up at the Saint and a random show, and this young couple came right up to me and said, "Aren't you the guy that owns Starland Ballroom?" And I was like, why would you think I own Starland Ballroom?
Why do they think that you own Starland Ballroom, Jeff?
They were just because they go, we see you there every show. You're always with a black shirt up front by the stage. Right. Everybody comes over to say hi to you. We just assumed you were the owner. And I said, no, man, I just go there with my kid to have a fun time. And so it was it was made very comfortable for me out here. Everywhere I went in Asbury Park, there was obviously a lot of familiar faces that I seen at Starland Ballroom over those first 8 years that I was going there. So it was definitely meant for me to be here. Yeah.
That's a beautiful, robust answer. And my question kind of becomes, switching to a bit of a Asbury through the years kind of a question. It's like a lot is changing in Asbury, and we're kind of looking at what is becoming like a burgeoning skyline in Asbury of these like massive condominium complexes that are going up. You're seeing, and you've been documenting really the Asbury Park scene. Have you seen a shift in like the styles of music that are happening as like it seems to be becoming a more upscale area, this Asbury Park, kind of pricing people out in terms of artists at least?
I don't know if I've seen an actual effect in music. I think that the music scene here is very resilient. I think, and I think we saw that with the pandemic. A lot of venues closing up, like the Saint, the Brighton Bar, and a lot of the local music scene having a harder time finding places for that smaller type shows. But I think that the music scene is very resilient out here, and certain genres, especially like the punk hardcore scene, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They will find an alleyway. They will find a hallway. They will find a backyard. They don't give a shit. They will always find places to kind of play shows and do their thing. So I think that's a cool piece of the puzzle. And although, am I happy that I'm seeing all these buildings going up? No. But I'm also that guy that, as an older dude, I understand business. I understand how life works. I understand how things go around in cycles. So I'm always that guy that sees both sides of the coin. When I have those conversations, whether it be with bands or with just people in general about it, I just seem to always be like, it's going to happen. And at some point, it'll probably go backward and then back over again. So it's kind of like that 10 to 20 year cycle everywhere you go. It's like going out somewhere where nothing's developed and it's cool. You buy a house for dirt cheap. I remember back in the day, friends of mine were buying like 14-room houses for like, $100,000.
That's a good deal.
But then everything gets developed, and it's like the next thing
Right.
you know, it's completely different
Right.
scenario. So
Right.
I think we're seeing that here now, and I think it'll continue to go upscale
Right.
for X amount of years, and then you'll see what happens after that. And during that interaction,
Yeah.
For me, the cool thing is being part of that,
Yeah.
but also seeing, how people react. I want to see how the music scene does. I want to see how, musicians, artists, photographers, whatever the case may be, kind of handle all of that.
Right.
There's so many people that I've met over the years here.
Yeah.
Some of them are gone. Some of them I haven't seen in 5-10 years, and some of them are still here. And I love to... I always want to be recognized as not a photographer, but as that person that's part of it all.
Right.
But that person that's kind of in the crowd with the people after I'm done shooting.
Right.
That person that's out there every day, hustling and coming to Happy Monday.
Right.
I've been supporting Happy Mondays for 10 years. 10 years it's been going on, and I've been part of that for 10 years.
Right. Wonder Bar puts on a great show on Mondays. Really, yesterday was a bit of an absurdity in terms of Monday night action, from Georgie's to the Asbury Lanes to a really great show at the Wonder Bar for a Happy Mondays. It was like, what you want to see out of a music town, with lots of good options during the week
and
for music.
Fans reach out to me, which they do all the time, about, booking shows in Asbury Park, and hey, get me a show with the Lanes, get me a show with the Pony. Hey, that's not how it works. There are so many live local shows here in Asbury Park year round, not just the season, year round.
Right.
And if you want to be part of Asbury Park, then get your ass down here, hang out at local shows, and meet people. Don't ask for favors. Come down, submerge yourself in the scene, and just kind of play the part of just, hey, how do we go about doing this? What shows are going on? Can I jump on a show with you guys? Love to kind of come down here and branch out. That's the way to do it, and I've watched countless bands do that. A perfect example, and I always use it. I'm actually wearing their shirt on the here. Separator. Separator moved down here just to be part of the Asbury Park music scene.
We love Separator at the Context Everything Media Network. So we love them.
So I kind of, I get it. I understand that people that aren't from the area, and I always message them. I say, here, message me, and I will send you every one of the local promoters, and you could connect with them and see what happens.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not getting you a show at the Pony. When most of the shows you play are to 20 or 30 people.
Right.
I mean, understand what you're asking.
Right.
These are major iconic venues, whether it be the Lanes, which is a 600-700 capacity, the Pony, which is a 900 capacity. You can't expect to play those venues unless you establish some kind of reputation, first. So, yeah.
And that's necessary in a music town, really, to have a hierarchy of venues, and that's a good thing. It's not saying it in any sort of a negative sense, but it's like to have a place that you play where you're not expected to bring more than 15 people. 15's a success. Those are smaller venues, and it's a good thing to develop. I think as an artist, to be able to command that sort of an audience, you have to be able to do that before you can do the next one.
Even the smaller places, they're businesses. You're playing in people's businesses. You have to understand how business works.
Yeah.
Yes, some places are designed to just get people in the door and hope for the best.
Right.
But at the end of the day, a business is a business.
Right.
Nobody's in business to lose money.
Yeah.
So understand that. Do your best to kind of, build a reputation in the scene.
Yeah.
Be polite. Be professional. Make sure that your etiquette is cool. And again, it is what it is. I mean, I've seen a lot of crap over the years.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of good things come through, and I've seen a lot of crap come through. But at the end of the day, establish yourself as somebody who is going to be wanted in the scene. That's the only way to do it today.
Right. That's a profound bit of advice, and really when you think about it, it's the only way to assimilate into any cultural scene and any cultural movement. And there's a lot of movement going on here in Asbury Park nowadays. It's an exciting time in town, and as we're talking about, seems like things are upscaling in a way. We're starting to see, almost I can imagine the streets kind of being surrounded by tall buildings on both sides of you as you're walking down.
Because all these buildings are now taking over parking lots,
Right.
which is the biggest concern that everybody has in a city like this. It's mind-boggling to me how that's not been such a grandiose issue that has ever, in all the years I'm here, obviously, and from what I hear before me, has ever been addressed.
Right.
You know, these buildings go up and they have usually an underground parking garage
Yeah.
for the people that are residents there.
Right.
But I actually had personal friends that have owned apartments in beautiful buildings on like 7th Avenue and actually sold them because nobody wanted to come and visit them. Literally, because their own kids didn't want to come here and visit them because they couldn't come down during the season in the middle of the day and find parking.
Right. When you want to come to the shore.
Right. How absurd is that? Like, so yeah, but I get it. Like I understand it's also that buzz.
Right.
You know, it's the buzz that it's like, you know, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you tell somebody outside of the area, Asbury Park? The first thing that comes to mind is Bruce. Right?
That's right.
Bruce. Is Bruce going to be there? Is Bruce going to be there? Is Bruce going to be there? No, Bruce isn't coming to Low Dive. No, Bruce isn't, you know, coming to Wild Air Beer Works. You know, Bruce isn't.
Good. I've done that too.
Bruce isn't showing up at, you know, a tribute band.
Right.
You know, but it's such a buzz that gets generated. And I think that's the cool part of it.
Right.
You know, for us locals, it's like, oh, enough already. But at the end of the day, it's that buzz that just makes this city so incredible, so vibrant, so enticing to a lot of outsiders. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, I don't live in Asbury Park. You know, I live 30 minutes north of here. Yeah. And I like that. Like, I don't know if I'd want to live in Asbury Park personally. Yeah. And not for any other reason, although it's nice to know when the night's done, I'm done. Right. It's nice to know where I'm going to, you know, I don't think I'd ever sleep if I lived in Asbury Park. I literally don't think I'd ever go home. Right. So that would not be a good thing. Right. Not that I sleep now, but
you sleep less.
Yeah, but I don't know. I come out here and in my mind it's like everything I have ever dreamed for. Yeah. It's like, you know, we all wake up and we search for something that makes life worth living. Yeah. And this might sound weird, but this is it for me. Like, as an older dude, this is what makes me want to get up every morning and live. Yeah. You know, when I walk out to, and you know, my wife, who's sitting right there, or was, there's so many nights where she says, why don't you just stay home and rest? And I'd be like, I can't. Like, I can't, because I know when I show up somewhere, I am going to see certain faces that I just adore. Right. That I just melt in front of, that I just want to be able to high five, fist pump, hug, kiss, and just have those conversations. And that means everything to me. The human interaction is everything. That's true. You know, I get it. I know we live in a social media world, but I know that it's part of our everyday life. Yeah. But there is nothing, in my opinion, better than face-to-face conversation.
Community. If there's going to be one major takeaway from this interview, I hope that it can be that there's a beautiful, vibrant community here in Asbury Park, and that you should join. Jeff, it's really been a pleasure to have you here on the show. Is there anything else you want to say?
I mean, the only thing I want to, I really want to just say, you know, I want to tell, you know, everybody in this city how appreciative I am of everybody that allows me to do what I do, whether it be the venue owners, the local promoters, the fans of the music scene, the people in the restaurants and stores on the boardwalk, all the people that always greet me with open arms when I come in and always have those conversations with me that always makes me want to come back the next day.
It's a beautiful thing, and from a legend, it's wisdom for the ages. Jeff, thank you for joining us here on the beautiful Asbury Boardwalk right in front of the Low Dive. And we're really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And why don't we just enjoy the rest of this beautiful day on the Jersey Shore.
Out here.
You can't beat it.
We got a few more days before the Memorial Weekend, so come out today and just take your strolls, because it ain't going to be this light in a few days.
Summer's right around the corner, folks. Asbury Park's waiting for you. Come on around. Thank you, Jeff, for being on the show.
Thank you.
That's right. That's great. That's really nice.
Yeah, awesome.
I hope my battery didn't die. Good, it didn't. 15 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
You got it.
You think that would just be good to just no edit, just pop that up?